Greetings, cyberspace cadets. It's Irate Prostate here, and it's another Sunday, and that means it's time for ice cream, or the ice cream interviews, as I've now have decided to start calling this thing, since it's started to pick up its own little momentum. Today I'm going to be talking with the lovely and brilliant Ahtemma the Hun. Say hey. And so we're going to sit out and hang out for a little bit and get to know Ahtemma better. I met Ahtemma a couple of weeks ago. She's everywhere. She's been everywhere. And I said, okay, I'm going to check more into this person. And the more I got to know her, the more I wanted to know more about her. So, and which, you know, leads to this thing here. So what I'm going to do is I just open it up the way I usually open it up, Ahtemma, and we kind of touched on this the other day when you and I were talking. But go ahead and give me. All right. So, what is the main reason? All right, you decided to move to this type of social media, YouTube, and then I'll follow up with that. Hold on. Okay. Say, yeah, hold on a second. Let me see what's going on. Frickin', yeah, desktop, all right. Okay. This is interesting. Yeah, we're trying to get the audio fixed here. There's some problems, and I'm trying to.
This is being a butt.
To the default there. Okay, I see what it's doing here. All right, and all right, can everybody go ahead and talk, Ahtemma?
Hello, can you guys hear me now? Hello, hello, hello.
All right, it's kind of on a delay, so we'll see what's going on with that.
Yeah, we'll see if that works.
This is interesting because it's the second time I've had a female person in the chair, as it were, and all right. Uzi says everything's good. Okay. All right. So we can.
Okay.
We can roll, maybe even get a little music too. All right. All right. So open with the question, like, what's the main reason that you decided to start, you know, coming on YouTube, streaming, open up a channel, and all the headaches and shit that go with that, just like what we just experienced?
Well, I think my husband got tired of arguing with me. About a year and a half, well, almost 2 years ago now, he started poking me to do a YouTube channel. We would watch people stream things. We would watch people, you know, articles, and like I would watch Ben Shapiro, and I'd be like, no, 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 no. That's the wrong angle. You need to take it from this angle. This is a stronger argument. And he would be like, why are you arguing with Ben Shapiro? What's wrong with you? And he said, you just need to go do this yourself. Go make articles or go make videos, and you tell people what you're thinking, because you're better at arguing than anybody I've met in a long time. So you need to go do that on YouTube. And I think it was just because he got tired of me telling him and arguing with him. I ended up waiting well over a year, and then I put up some videos, and it was kind of fun. I hadn't really gotten much into Discord or anything yet, but once I got into voice chat and stuff, I realized that I actually really liked interacting with people. And I'm kind of naturally really antisocial. So I was like, oh, if I'm not in front of people, I like talking to them. Right. So then a couple of people invited me onto a couple of smaller live streams, and I was like, oh, wow, I kind of have fun with this. And then it just kind of took off from there. I wasn't really expecting to have anything happen with this. I thought what I was doing was kind of boring. So I didn't know people would find it interesting. I was rather surprised. That's why I ended up on social media, as my husband got tired of arguing with me, I think.
Well, cool. Well, say official hi to Goat Man. I try to say, yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Several people. Hi, Brian. Hi, Goatman. Hi, Freedom. Hi, Zell. Hi, Blue Penguin. How are you guys all doing?
Awesome. Butt cheeks. What's happening? All right. So in other words, all right. So your husband says, all right, you're really good at arguing. Why don't you go just see what just give it a shot yourself. I mean, everybody else is putting their opinion out there. That's fair enough. Sounds fair to me, at least. Let's see. We talked. What about your name and your avatar?
Okay, there's a whole lot of entendre in this. There's a whole lot of double meaning. So my first name is actually Ahtemma, which is an odd name, and it would be hard to come up with a pseudonym or a different name that kind of goes with it or anything like that. But I also have 4 kids, and I've lived on the West Coast my whole life, so having 4 kids is like, oh my God, you have a herd of kids. That's so many. When you live in the South, no, it's like, oh, you only have 4 children? Really?
How come y'all don't have no more?
Yeah, why haven't you? You're only 40. What are you doing? You should have more kids. Screw you people. No, but I have nothing but daughters, and I have to be kind of authoritarian with my children. So Attila the Hun is what kind of came to mind. And, living in Texas for 10 years, I identify more with being a Texan than I do a Californian, which is odd. But I ended up, Ahtemma the Hun is like Attila the Hun, and I say Hun all the time. And there's
Right, so it just fits. It's just,
yeah.
Tongue-in-cheeky
kind of thing, too.
Nifty. Well, that's cool. Something that really sticks out about you to me, is you're smarter than the average bear on YouTube when it comes to science, and you've got a little bit more of a scientific brain. Didn't you spend some time in? What's your educational background with that? Because
I am a college dropout. I went to school. My majors, I had a double major of astronomy and English. And before that, my major was marine biology. So I'm kind of a sciencey, nerdy person. And I had to go community college because I was a single parent and I was young and tried to pay my own way. So it was fun. I was lucky enough to go to a community college that had some pretty high-end accredited courses. Like I got to take calculus-based physics and organic chemistry at community college, which are really, really expensive courses. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be able to do that.
I was going to say that's hard to find in a community college. A good professor that knows their that's worth their salt. Especially in those 2 fields. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I was lucky.
You alluded to being a single parent. So how did you and Mr. the Hun meet?
Well, this is a good story. So I was friends with the manager of one of the 3 bars in the town I lived in when I met my husband, and he was meeting a mutual friend of ours who had just come back from a tour of duty in, I believe, Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember which. And he was outside smoking a cigarette waiting for the guy to show up, and I was with my friend who managed the bar, and she was dropping off payroll, and we were going to go to lunch. And I said something to somebody else that was standing outside, and he said a snarky, quick quip back, and I popped with something back, and he popped with something back, and I stuck my little hand out, and I said, "Hi, I'm Ahtemma. Who are you?" And that was a little over 13 years ago. I picked him up in front of a bar in the middle of the day. He's a good egg. He puts up with all my crazy and my feminine weirdness. You know, he puts up with me. He's a.
Are you guys kind of like an opposites attract kind of couple, or what?
No. We're both pretty rational people that like to stay lost in our own heads, but we like each other enough that we remember to talk to each other. You know, we've gone pretty long periods of time with just hanging out together and forgetting to speak, like, you know, over 24 hours. We've done that before. No, he is my best friend, 100%. He is my very best friend in the whole world. Even after 13 years of being together, we don't run out of stuff to talk about.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty incredible. I'm not even quite sure how that works, but yeah, 13 years of chattering at each other, and we aren't bored yet. So we'll see. Hopefully, it keeps going.
That's awesome. That's hey, you know, it's anyway. I'm not going to give you marital advice. You know what you're doing. Obviously, if y'all hadn't killed each other this far, you know, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I usually have the little goofy icebreaker type questions. One of my favorites. This is something I like to ask everybody when I do this. Is like, what is the moment where you knew that you weren't a child anymore, and what kind of feeling did you have when you realized it?
Oh, this is kind of a heavy question. I realized very young I wasn't a child anymore. I was severely abused. By the late 80s, or in the late 80s, I was the worst documented case of corporal punishment in the history of the county I was born in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have scars on the backs of my legs and things like that. So it's kind of hard to remember this. I realized I was no longer a child probably around the age of 14 or 15. I had a friend, I was 15. My best friend at the time killed himself, and I couldn't get a ride to his funeral. And I figured out that I was on my own. It was the last time I asked my parents for help.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty wild.
So it's at the age of 15?
Yeah.
So how did you grow up? That's so you
I grew up rough. I grew up hard.
Right.
Like, it was lower middle class. It wasn't like we had the whole, you know, like, oh, we grew up on the streets and I was fighting all the time or anything. But I never really had family. My stepdad was an addict and my mother's codependent. My father was out of the picture, obviously, because of the abuse. It was just, you know, there were drugs. He's, you know, a creature of the 70s. He introduced me to drugs when I was, to weed when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
Speed when I was 15, you know. It was, I can't say it was like the worst upbringing because, like, I wasn't sexually assaulted or, like, you know, I wasn't raped by anybody in my family or anything like that. But I didn't have a lot of emotional support. So, you know, they were the yuppie style boomers that were always, you know, off doing things in their, that were important to them. And I was just an accessory that got in the way.
I gotcha.
So, you know, I don't know. I don't really look on it as anything, like, I don't have a lot of bitterness for it. It was just kind of, oh, wow, that made me a lot tougher. I've tried to look at what I got out of it rather than dwell on how shitty it was.
Well, in situations like that, I found it, you know, it's best to just realize that it's you know, it's another component that help make you who you are right now. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's part of one of the building blocks. So yeah, I see things a little bit similarly. I've got a couple of parallels there, but you know, that was pretty tough though, man. I didn't expect that question to kind of go that way. You know, that's why I asked that question, is because I've never gotten the same answer twice. It's fascinating. A little lighter break. What's your favorite sci-fi film and why?
Sci-fi. Ooh, that's hard because I really like comic book style movies.
Mm-hmm.
But you want a movie or a show?
It depends. Just whatever you want.
Okay. Movie-wise, it's a toss-up between Dune and Godzilla versus Mothra. I'm old school. I'm just a sucker for campy sci-fi, you know. And then there's also Army of Darkness, you know.
Oh,
this is my boomstick. Yeah.
Give me some sugar.
Shop smart as smart. You know.
That's excellent.
Yeah. As for series, that's kind of a tough one too, because I really enjoyed Farscape. It was just so bizarre, but I loved Eureka and Stargate or SG-1, and you know, I'm kind of all over the place for that stuff. You know. But
that's one I don't hear much, is Eureka, and I thought that was a really good series too. You know, I like that answer because it illuminated, you know, the scientific aspect of science, and you know, and showed us, you know, I think it showed people how important science is to just life itself today, and how important the people behind the science, you know, the scientists, the people that are, you know, that are doing the work are, you know, to us, to everybody. You know, we wouldn't have this tech, we wouldn't have the shit, we wouldn't have the internet if it weren't for, you know, the military and you know, and DARPA, you know, and the scientists there, you know. So yeah, that's a cool show. If you could talk, go ahead.
Sorry, the tongue-in-cheek comedy mixed with the futuristic research that was actually not totally and completely fully off base is what made it fun for me, because it was like they were actually using terminology correctly. You know, I really liked Big Bang Theory for the first 3 seasons because they stuck to what physicists are actually like. It was incredibly, terrifyingly accurate on some of the pastimes that we all did while we were in school together. It was.
And that's something, you know, a lot of people don't understand exactly the nature of physics. And I've always been fascinated with, you know, like the idea of behind quantum physics and you know, multiverse and things like that. That's been something that's always, you know, generated fascination with me ever since, like, you know, the early Star Trek with the mirror universe and Spock with the beard and all that shit. You know. Here's the question that I just came up with, like, and I came up with you in the mind. What would your mirror universe self be like?
Less harsh. Maybe a little more socially aware. That would be nice. Completely oblivious most of the time. Like, it took my husband quite a bit to let me know that he was interested in me in that way, because I am just completely oblivious. Like, it's really funny. Like, I don't catch a lot of the little social cues and stuff, and I don't have any sort of autism or anything. Totally, completely neurotypical. I'm just oblivious because I'm usually lost in my own head. What would my mirror self be? Probably not as hard-edged. Like, I have a really sharp tongue. I would hope my mirror self would be a gentle version of me, because I think I'm already the one with the beard side. So.
I got it. That's the I would place you. I don't think you're, you know, I don't think you're bitter Spock myself, but Let's see. What about books? What would you say? What book do you keep going back to? What's your favorite?
Atlas Shrugged.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to Atlas Shrugged a lot. I'm kind of hooked on reading Asian philosophy right now, or Eastern philosophy. I've got a book with some Lao Tzu in it because I've only read some Sun Tzu at this point. It's got like Lao Tzu and Confucius, and I keep reading the intro and then going and looking for quotes and stuff in the book, but I haven't had a chance to actually read the book yet. Excuse me. I'm trying to think, because usually when I read a book, I read it once, it sticks in my head, and I go find another one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the books I end up opening and going back to are usually related to something for religious reasons, like I'm looking for some lore, or I can't remember what herb to grind to create an incense, or stuff like that. I've got like 8 books going right now, so I'm trying to remember. Cornelia Funke, she did the Inkheart series. My kids like reading books, so a lot of times I'll pre-read chapter books to make sure they aren't too heavy or dark for my kids, because
Mm-hmm.
my younger 2 are young. So I enjoy her work. Golly, who does Artemis Fowl? I like the Artemis Fowl series. My kids really like it too.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. What's it kind of? What's the idea behind it?
Artemis Fowl is like a teenage boy. Who considers himself a villain, but he doesn't actually act like one. Like he's pretty like direct and brutal about doing stuff, but he actually is he's doing good things. Like he's trying to save the fairy world, and he's trying to rescue his dad and pull his mother out of insanity, and like things like that. So he calls himself a villain, but he ends up doing good guy stuff in the end. It's a cute little series for kids.
Cool.
It's been out for a while, I think, though.
Yeah, but when it comes to like kids books and the YA stuff, it's like I'm totally out of water on that stuff. What's your guilty pleasure? And I mean, out of anything, movies, books, TV series, anything, music.
Guilty pleasures. Ooh. The grand tour of my guilty pleasure. I will stop whatever I'm doing and I will go tune out to go watch shows about cars, read manga. Yeah, I know I'm 41 years old and I read manga. I read comic books. Get over it, people. And cooking shows that use science to explain why your food tastes the way it does.
Oh, cool. Kind of those gastronomy, what do they call it? Molecular gastronomy type chefs?
Yeah, the ones that talk about the chemistry involved in the foods you eat.
Yeah.
Like, Alton Brown, and I can't remember the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. What's your favorite Game of Thrones character and why?
I have never watched Game of Thrones.
You are the third person that said that. I've been throwing that fucking question away. God damn it.
From the visuals, the way people look,
mm-hmm.
There's a dude who's really big and carries a bearded hammer, and I don't know who he is, but he looked really cool, and he had like leather and metal amalgamated armor, but I don't know who he was. He was a big guy that carried a bearded axe and had long hair. I don't know who he was.
I'm not sure. You might be talking about the Hound. I'm not sure. Let's see. All right. So when it comes to like, yearly holiday time, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, it would be like, everybody had like a Christmas special that was their favorite out of all of them, Rudolph or, the Grinch or, stuff like that. What was your favorite?
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, the Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, that's
yeah. I lived in a Lake Arrowhead area for a while, so I actually got to meet the Schultz family. I didn't get to meet Jim Schultz. He died before we moved up there, but or Charles Schultz, Mr. Schultz. I can't remember his name right now.
Right, Charles. Yeah.
He his family was really cool, and it just kind of made it a little more personable for me. I just always liked it because he's kind of the Eeyore of cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie Brown was always the underdog.
Yeah, and I always loved the little jazz music, the piano sound, da 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 da
Yeah.
da. You know, the nice kind of a. It fits in right with that Eeyore comparison. I like that.
Yeah, and the simple goodness, you know, he's simply just trying to be a decent person. And I always liked that part. I'm not much on Christmas specials. I think a lot of times they don't even focus on, you know, what we're supposed to be doing for Christmas. And I kind of like that, you know, Charlie Brown was like, you're supposed to be with your family. It doesn't matter if you have stuff or anything. It's about just being together.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's not the accoutrement. It's not the bells and whistles. It's the people and you know, and being with family. You know, it's about the. Yeah. I get the same thing. What is something about you that the public doesn't know that you would like for them to know?
I don't mean to be an asshole when I am. I value truth and being honest and direct above being nice. Um, uh, I'm not really big on being emotional. I know that's really weird for a woman to say, but the one aspect of being female I can't stand is that we are emotionally driven creatures when it comes to reactions. I hate dealing with my own emotions. So I prefer people to be rational and not particularly emotional with me. Even though I can handle it, it irritates me, probably because I have a house full of daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I have one son and the rest are daughters, and the daughters all still live with me. So I guess maybe that. I don't really know. I'm pretty much an open book. I mean, you know, obviously there's the personal stuff I'm not going to talk about, like, you know.
Yeah.
Fellatio skills or something like that is nobody's business.
No.
But,
No.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought that was a really good answer. Here's another one of those goofy questions I ask: is cereal soup? Because that tends.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Good answer. just straightforward and right on it. Okay. Let's see. I've got a couple of others here before I go to my next set. All right, what's the best decision you've made as an adult?
Marrying my husband. Seriously, marrying my husband. I proposed to him too. And it wasn't like a real emotional or sweet, you know, oh, will you marry me thing. It was like, you know, you're going to marry me, right? It works for us.
That's
I'd say we're the most.
Well, I appreciate, man. You know, it's like I'd rather somebody be direct with me, and instead of like just, you know, kind of dance around the you know what I'm saying. Just I don't know. For me, it's confusing. You know, I don't read cues too well. Neither does Uzi. You know, so you know, people that want, you know, that put a lot or expect a lot of guesswork out of me, you know, really kind of piss me off sometimes, a lot of the time, because, you know, it's like, because I would rather just know flat out, what the fuck are you telling me, right? Instead of, you know, 10 minutes to get there, for fuck's sake, okay?
Just fucking say it. I don't care if it hurts my feelings. I don't care if it's offensive. Just fucking tell me.
Right, exactly.
I would rather have the information. And I don't get offended really easily, too. Like, people are like, I hope this doesn't offend you. And it's like, as long as you're not lying to me, it's probably not going to offend me.
There you go.
You know, that's
Yeah.
And people feeling sorry for themselves is going to piss me off pretty quick too. I'm not going to lie. If you're having a pity party, I'm probably going to jump your shit. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Do you have any songs that you've completely memorized?
Oh yeah, quite a few. I know all the words to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
I know. Oh, now my brain's gone blank. I know a bunch of songs word for word. I know a bunch of Queen word for word. I think I know several Guns N' Roses songs word for word because I was a kid when they came out. There's a couple of Breaking Benjamin albums. I know almost all of the songs on word for word. Multitude of Reasons, I actually do like Breaking Benjamin. Y'all can pick on me for it. I don't care.
I've never heard of them, to be honest.
They're kind of a poppy metal band that my kids showed me, and I enjoy listening to with them. Puddle of Mud, I know a bunch of their songs.
Yeah.
Sneaker Pimps, I know several of their songs. I think I could probably still sing along and know the words to almost every song on the Bleach album from Nirvana.
That's a great album too.
Yeah. Golly. I know the words to a lot of songs. A lot of Boston and Journey, I know a lot of their lyrics too. A lot of Skynyrd. I'm one of those people that if I hear it a couple of times, I'll remember most of the words.
I got you. So I'm a big Skynyrd. That's my guilty pleasure from music is Lynyrd Skynyrd, because I grew up, in Tennessee, so Southern rock was just a natural. But yeah, I love I love Skynyrd, and I bet you know a lot of Ramones songs too.
Yeah, I know quite a few. I know more of the Vandals than I do the Ramones, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
when people come to you for help, what do they usually ask you to help them with? What's usually be?
Other than my kids, right?
Right.
Because she's hitting me, make her stop, make her give me back my thing. And that involves screaming and screeching and makes me want to punch babies, and I don't. There's been a couple of times where I've been asked to moderate drama now, like people fighting.
Right.
Because I cut to the chase. I don't care about the ego shit. Like whatever, you guys are fighting over your egos and you're being dumb. I don't know how to interact with other people, which is hilarious to me because I don't think I'm very good at that. I don't know. I haven't really had people come and ask me for help very often, other than ask me for my opinion on stuff. So,
yeah, well,
other than my kids, can you put this back together, Mom? Is it broken?
I broke it. Yeah, okay. That was a fine answer. Let's see. All right. How can I ask this? I guess out of like everybody from like fucking history or something, the way this question was worded, I just liked it. Who has impressed you the most with what they've accomplished? And that can be anybody from anywhere.
Oh, see, that's a toss-up between Heinlein, who's a philosopher or a physicist. He's a physicist and also an author.
Mm-hmm.
So Richard Heinlein, Starship Troopers.
Absolutely.
And Nikola Tesla.
Cool. So, all right. Well, this is, there's the other question is, it's like if you could have three people from history, living or dead, sit at a dinner table with you and have a dinner discussion, who would they be? The three people.
Living or dead?
Yeah.
Well, Nikola Tesla, because his crazy has got to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Richard Heinlein. I'm saying his first name, but it's Heinlein. And oh, my brain just stopped. I needed more sleep than I got. This is my fault too.
We can come back if you want to. Or we can stick with two.
He wrote Walden Thoreau.
Oh, Henry. Yeah, okay, yeah, Henry David Thoreau.
Henry David Thoreau.
He's one of my favorite authors. Out of that era. I would be fascinated to talk with him too, because I always found his the way that he viewed, the way that we should, I don't know, appreciate nature for being more than it is, on a superficial level. I don't know. I just always dug his. I can't even remember the school. It's been so long since, but I always was drawn to his stuff. But those are fascinating people. Is there a TV show or a movie that you just refuse to watch? You're never going to watch it no matter what?
Game of Thrones.
Well, fair enough. Here's mine. All right, and this is a staunch. And I refused it when it came out at the theater, and I'm never going to see this movie, no matter how much people tell me how good it is. As soon as I said that, of course, I forgot it, but it's the Steven Spielberg movie with the alien and the lighted finger and the bicycle. E.T. Yes. I will never see E.T.
It's distressing. It can be really distressing because, yeah, no.
I don't know, man. It's like as soon as I started talking about it, my brain just went, we're not going to let you have it. No, you're not going to remember this one. And I'm really, that's difficult to get used to, man. Okay. What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation at all?
Oh, objectivism.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
Objectivism is Ayn Rand's philosophy on how to live. I think she takes it to the extreme in Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. But if you look at it and you moderate it to be reasonable, it's okay to live for yourself. It's okay to not be altruistic. It's you can still be a good person and not be trying to save the world. You don't have to have the St. Catherine complex.
Well, and there's a lot of people don't realize that you can be self-serving and altruistic at the same time. I see people do that. With my experience with psychology and stuff, it's like I know how AA works a little bit, and the people in AA help other people to help themselves stay sober.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And and that's kind of what I'm talking about there, where a seemingly selfless act is really selfish in nature. So yeah, I've always appreciated Rand too, man. It's to build a whole political philosophy, basically, from her just general philosophy. Was quite a feat, and I still respect. People will give libertarians the hard time. Libertarianism has had a difficult.
It's had a hard road to hoe because you have to stand up and say no. I don't care if gay people get married. No, you know, yes, I care that abortion happens, but no, I don't see the point in having a law about any of it. And it's really hard to fight that social aspect.
Right.
And then you tell people, oh, no, you really don't need a Department of Education. And they freak out. You know,
right.
You know?
Exactly. And it's very daunting and challenging. You know, I've seen it since its infancy. I've been voting a long time. And, you know, at first it was the, you know, let's get reefer legalized party. And I mean, 90% of the people that voted Libertarian were voting for that specific reason, man. And that, you know, and then, you know, as you get older, you know, and you get the whole idea behind, you know, less government is best government, that kind of thing. You know, it just, all of that stuff made sense to me too. So that's Ayn Rand is a fascinating person in her own. She.
Oh yeah, if you look at her history, she grew up a Russian Jew. Watched her father lose everything. It was sequestered by the government. You know, yeah, no, her, yeah. Sorry.
Well, you know, in a lot of Rush's music, see, I'm a huge Rush fan. I've seen them like 5 times. And back when they were like at the peak of their game too, you know, and so you know, as a young lad, I didn't even realize, you know, all this stuff was influenced. And then one album says, you know, thanks to the genius of Ayn Rand, and I'm like, well, who is that? And you know, and then I start, you know, I mean, you know, this is like a 16-year-old kid. You know, exploring, you know, Ayn Rand and you know, and trying to make it through Atlas Shrugged, which was, you know, difficult for you know, a kid my age at that point, you know, but but the ideas, you know, it got my head firing, and then the more I would listen to the Rush, the more all that shit made sense. So they were very helpful in helping me, you know, so. I didn't mean to make that about me. I'm sorry about that. But
no, yeah. Rush was a big inspiration for me too. Red Barchetta kind of changed the way I looked at looking towards the future.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Because I was like 13 the first time the lyrics hit me in the head and made me realize what I was listening to.
Yeah. You know, about, you know, the idea of a dystopian future, you know, where, you know, yeah, you know, it was written, you know, but we had just come out of the gas crisis and all that shit. But I think that was one of the Perk's first, you know, real true, like, all right, I'm going to do like a science fiction, but I'm going to deliver like a political message in it too, in a way. And he did it. It was real clever. It's a really great song. It still stands up to the test of time, in my opinion. So I'll shut up now.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah. Sorry, my throat started itching. Sorry. I'll drink some. I'm gonna drink some water. There we go. I'll stop coughing now.
All right. All right. So, all right. Who? And you don't have to answer this because I know how this nature of these questions can be. Okay. Who do you think? Well, I think it's easy to, like, you know, say who an underrated YouTuber is. Like, you know, who do you think's one of the greater YouTubers that are underrated, and maybe a YouTuber that's overrated?
There's a lot of underrated that should be overrated, or that should have much bigger followings. Sorry. There we go. Off the top of my head, there's like groups like Lo-Fi and Tyro are 2 really brilliant YouTubers that have a lot of fun, and I think they should have more following than they do, because they can do they can cover a multitude of topics. They're both incredibly intelligent, well-educated people. Yeah. Underrated or overrated?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Jarbo, Mundane Matt. I don't understand how he has any kind of real following. He's
I think he's just got a good voice, and you know, I think he hit it at the right time. Though I'm not going to rag on him, but I agree he's vastly overrated, and I don't get it either.
I
But
don't
you know,
understand the appeal.
but yeah, no ill will towards the dude. You know, it's just don't get it. Let's see if I had something written down here. Were you ever a big fan of the Battlestar Galactica reboot? Did you ever get a chance to see that?
I watched like 3 episodes and I went, oh, this is so not Battlestar Galactica. They shouldn't have called it Battlestar Galactica.
Maybe.
I liked the actors. I thought the set was really cool. I didn't like the storyline.
Okay, that's fair. If you could talk, all right. Here's a great question. If you could talk to yourself at the age of 8 years old, what would you tell yourself?
It's okay. This is going to end. You'll get through it, and you'll be strong. I've actually had this conversation in my head a couple of times because that's how you work through bad things that happen in your childhood.
Did you go through therapy? Did you use any of the empty chair stuff? I'm big on Gestalt techniques, and empty chair therapy is very, very helpful. Talking to people that you have unresolved issues with that are not there. Talking to an empty chair basically.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it a few times. Not because the people are dead or anything, just because I have no interest in actually speaking to those people.
Right.
I know there will be no good in doing so. Yes. Yeah, I would say it's okay. You can get through this.
Good.
And I did.
Yeah,
so.
I need to stop and explain something to people. I don't mean sitting in your fucking kitchen talking to an empty chair. It's guided therapy with the therapist that takes you through it, and you can ask if they do empty chair work, and if they do, they'll tell you yes. All right. I've found it to be very, very, very helpful, especially with unresolved pain issues like that, emotional pain. Sorry, I had to do my caveat there because it's like people are going, "What? I can just sit and talk to a chair." Shit. Do you get along better with men or women?
Men.
Mm-hmm.
Men. Overall, like straight up, I don't like the competition that women don't acknowledge. I don't like that hierarchy that they passively poke at each other. It's so sideways and it's so irrational and it's emotionally based, and I can't stand any of it. My husband used to joke and say, "You're the alpha who doesn't bother to compete." It's fascinating. With other women, I don't bother. I don't even see what they're doing most of the time. I'm completely oblivious to a lot of the poking that they do. I can't handle it.
I can definitely see what you mean by that too. It's just the subtleties. See, that's once again, it's like it's just just don't be subtle. Just say it. Goddamn. Get to the fuck.
And I will.
Get to the point. Yeah, well, see, that's something my grandmother taught me. She was like, she was quiet and she was small and she was very, very soft spoken and shit. She'd whip your ass in a New York minute, but she would always, just say, you don't have to, you don't have to bother, going all around, talking about just tell me what you need to say, and that always stuck with me. So yeah, I get it. Where do you want to take yourself in the in the next I guess in the next year in regards to YouTube and what you're doing here?
Well, my husband was just talking to me about it last night. See, I didn't really start with any kind of thing in mind. I've had people tell me I'm probably going to blow up at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm kind of flaky, because I get lost in my own head a lot. My husband's really pushing me to set up a Patreon and Streamlabs and stuff, and I haven't done it yet.
I think it's wise. I think, you know, that's wise advice.
He's a very wise person. I know I should listen to him. I didn't even really have a goal in mind for starting my channel other than to say I'm right and here's why. Now listen to what I'm saying about how right I am. I'm trying to figure out a focus. I really love talking to people. I really enjoy having conversations about stuff that I may or may not know a lot about. Like economics is a weak point for me.
Yeah.
So there's people like, I keep wanting to drag Big Fat Brian into an economics stream, but he's like, no, I don't want to do that. So I got to find somebody else who knows economics as well as he does.
Well, you know, it was like Friday nights, you know, at the CREEM stream where we're, you know, kind of getting deep into, you know, kind of, it wasn't really economic, it was more political.
It was the libertarian. Oh yeah, no, Excel is now my new friend. He stays in my pocket.
Yeah.
I adore that man. He's just adorable.
Yeah, going through the whole philosophic, you know, idea behind ANCAP and stuff like that. It's, you know, and it's, I don't know, I tend to be more pragmatic when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just want to, you know, I want to stay within the realm of doability. But it's good to, like, I think, get outside the box and look at shit in, you know, in idealistic and extreme, you know, because that's what academia does. You know, they're always looking. I call it the bubble of academia because, you know, they're set off in fucking la la land, you know, and their concept of what reality is totally fucking, I mean, just not even close to what's really going on with people. You know, that's why the huge surprises that were delivered, you know, during the last election. So, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah. Actually, you know, if anybody had really paid attention to the actual polls and had a memory for numbers like I do, they would have seen that Hillary was not as successful as they were projecting. I didn't know if she was going to lose, but I didn't think she was going to win by the landslide that they were giving. It was, her numbers were slipping bad.
Yeah.
From June of 2014,
mm-hmm.
where she started to, you know, right before the election, or 2015 rather, right before the election, her numbers were just dropping by points per month. Points, not tenths of a point, but whole points per month. Every time she did a rally, her popularity went down. Every time she did an appearance, her popularity went down. But people were ignoring it because they just hated Trump that much.
Yeah, it's interesting because I knew that there was a high probability that he was going to win it when the Clinton campaign went back to Detroit the Sunday before the election, and I'm going, holy shit, they don't have Detroit locked down.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm saying, you know, that's when I knew it was they were fucked. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We've got the midterms coming up, so we'll have plenty of shit to talk about. I know, but you know, I want to get back focused on you. I apologize for these. You know, my ADHD will take me places that.
Oh no, that's fine. Please, I'm really great at ADHD conversations.
And that's one of the main reasons I started talking to you about, you know, doing the CREEM stream and shit, because you're really good at it.
Thank you.
And you've been a big, huge gift to me. What is your do you have any medical issues you have to deal with?
Oh yeah, okay. Here comes the laundry list. Woohoo! Okay, so I've had asthma since I was 18. We talked about my fatal asthma attack on Friday. That was fun. I have PTSD, which we talked about, which I lightly touched on today. Between the child abuse, the crazy brutal rape I went through when I was 18, dying, and crazy stuff in my youth. There are things that'll trigger me, and I can get aggressive. I can get violent. Actually, I haven't been violent in a long, long time now, but it used to be I had violence triggers where if somebody came up behind me and grabbed my shoulder, I would punch them. I've stopped doing that now. I've finally got control of that aspect. I have 5 compressed nerves in my right arm, so sometimes I can't use my right hand because it hurts and it won't respond.
Oh, wow.
I had an 11-pound baby, so now my right hip falls out of place every once in a while.
Oh, that hurts like hell too, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then there's a thing called hyperkinesis. And I don't know if it's a medically diagnosed or anything like that, but it's a label that I've had a couple of psychologists throw at me over the years, and it means that my conscious brain never stops. Even when I'm asleep, I'm still thinking. And that causes my insomnia.
Right.
So,
Have they tried to throw medicine at that?
I refuse to take anything for it.
Here.
I'm not going to take an antidepressant. I don't need to play with my brain chemistry. I'm good.
What about like marijuana or more, natural?
I use pot to sleep. I'll do edibles because of the asthma. Other than that, I've just learned that meditation is my friend. Patience with trying to fall asleep. There's like a procedure I go through where I block out everything in my head, and then I focus on my breathing, and I only focus on my breathing, and I keep everything else out. And if I'm tired enough, I'll fall asleep.
Right.
Just takes like an hour and a half.
So you kind of do like your own guided imagery kind of thing, progressive relaxation, where you started. I used to do something. I do guided work with patients where I would I would get them to tighten up their whole body, and then tighten up going from the feet all the way up to the shoulders, and then tightening and relaxing, and once you get to the shoulders, and then you can just kind of let go, and then I don't know, I found that to work the best with people. And I do that with myself, especially when I'm having a hard time. I want to say, Jesus, I can do that. I don't know. I've got a weird sleep thing going on. I have no idea what it's from. But hey, what can you say? Is there anything you wanted in specific to talk about that you wanted the people to know? Or is there anything you think we haven't covered that you want to cover?
I don't judge people.
Go for it.
I'm not a judgy person.
Good. Keep going.
I'm painfully apathetic about what other people do. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole when I say this, but I am like the paragon of Gen Xer in that sense. I really can't be fucked to tell people whether they're doing something right or wrong if it doesn't involve hurting somebody else. I am very uncomfortable trying to put my own principles or force my own principles on anybody else. That feels like I'm usurping somebody else's free will. Free will is a really big deal to me. Not forcing people to make choices, letting them do that on their own. And even as a parent, I do it, which may not be the best choice, but I really do believe that people need to learn their own lessons. And I can walk you through what my opinions on something are. But for the most part, like, I'll have an argument with somebody over something, and I don't care. 20 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, whatever, we had an argument about that. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be polite to you or not cool with you for the most part. That's just, I don't have the time to care about what people think.
Well, yeah, I mean, that perfectly, fits in with what you were describing about your whole fascination with Ayn Rand. And, it's not only about you being yourself, but it's about other people, letting everybody be who they are. And, I think that's a great way to approach stuff, because You know, life's too short for, you know, like acrimony and prolonged, you know, the tension needed to prolong anger over a period of time, like, you know, weeks, months, you know, years. I don't know, man. I think it can destroy you inside. You know.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I like to let shit go fast. You know, once it's out, it's gone. You know, I'm not. You have to really get in my shit to really piss me off.
Yeah. There's very few things that'll cross a line for me where I won't talk to you again.
Yeah. Okay.
Very few things. You know, I don't care if people start shit and drama and stuff, whatever. That's on you. I don't care. That's not my problem. Like, I went on the cunt stream the other night and I actually shouted at people, and that's not my style. But if you're sitting around doing the pity party, feel sorry for me, but you're telling people things you shouldn't tell them that will induce this make fun of me thing, you don't have the right to cry about it when people start making fun of you in my mind. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense sometimes, you know. You know, that can be the cunt stream is what I'm talking about. It can be a catalyst, you know, for people to, you know, I guess, you know, for lack of a better term, exercise some demons or some shit. Because I've seen, like, you know, stuff that I would describe as almost therapeutic anger work getting done there.
Yeah.
You know, so I think everything's got its purpose. You know. Do you have anything coming up in the next week that you want to promote or anything? Is there?
Well, I do a weekly show on Lo-Fi's channel. It's called Moonifest Destiny is the name of the channel, and Moonifest Destiny is the name of the show. We do geek stuff and current events. I'm supposed to be starting a show with Harley Quinn on Wednesday. That's the replacement for NSFW on the cunt stream. We haven't had a chance to much brainstorm for that because, you know, we all have lives and stuff going on. I've been trying to get this philosophy stream together, and it's really hard to get everybody. It's like herding cats and being a cat yourself. It's not going very well.
When you say philosophy stream, what do you mean? Do you mean like we're going to sit around and talk about Kant for 2 hours?
No. God, no.
Utilitarianism and shit?
No. I want to look at it. Oh, God, please shoot me now. I've done that already. It was awful. We called it school.
Oh, Jesus. I'm with you. Keep going. You good.
No, individualism versus collectivism, because they're both philosophical ideals, right?
Right. And
they're fundamentally that way, and I want to look at how they were prior to postmodernism, which I think has kind of destroyed everything in modern society, and after postmodernism, and see how they've changed. Now, the problem is I can't find a lot of people that are versed on it, and I can't find many people that are into collectivism that are willing to talk about it.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people have a hard time with the historical origins of the, you know, like even like how the Frankfurt School came about, and then, you know, how that ended up at fucking Berkeley of all places. So I think to get into, I think that historic foundation's got to be there for people to kind of understand why the fuck it make this mean something. Because I think that people don't realize. See, we've got a whole fucking generation of kids that think socialism is good.
I know.
You know, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like every time I see one of these youngins doing this shit, I just want to, you know, I want to slap them and say, "What the fuck are you thinking?" But
well, you know, communism, real communism hasn't really been tried yet.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Smack.
Yeah, right. You know, whatever. Yeah. So, you know, and that's like another, you know, 2-hour conversation right there.
Exactly.
So I don't know. You and me, I'll talk with you about some of this stuff. Talking about I got an idea about something. You know what? I'm gonna shut up about it right now.
Okay.
But we've gone right out an hour since the little fuck up with the audio and shit. Is there? Are you sure there's nothing else you want to touch on?
Well, I do the stream on Friday with you. I'm trying to find a direction for my channel. See, the problem is I'm interested in so many things. It's very hard for me to find a focus.
It's taken me a year to really finally to get firmly footed. I've been kind of like a maverick in this deal, okay? And this is just my experience, but it's taken me a year to really get comfortable with the medium, and my brain is starting to organize what I want to do and how I want to do it now. So it can take a while, especially if you're older, and it's like there's all these younger people, man, with attitude, and a lot of times they don't want to hear people older than them.
Yeah, they act like we're all boomers.
Well, and the whole, the logic behind that is, I think that they don't want to talk to people like you or me because, we represent, inevitability, because everybody's going to get old, and at some point you're going to die. I think that people have a hard time, looking at that, especially when they're young. They don't want to talk about that shit. Fuck that shit. You know what you're talking about. It's like, well, there was this whole thing that they used to do with older people. It was called respect, and you would go to them for wisdom.
But the other side of that is that the current batch of older people we're supposed to look to for wisdom are also yuppies.
Oh, they're all fucking hippies. That's right.
So they're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, half of the financial problems our country has right now is because boomers don't want to pay their own fucking medical bills, and they didn't want to have to be accountable for the loans they took out for houses that they couldn't fucking afford.
Well, man, now you're being too hard on us now, young lady. I want to tell you, in no certain terms, that you must have to look at everything in its entirety before you can make a decision like that and make some kind of judgment on me. Sorry, that was a bad Bill Clinton, but
I get it though.
But yeah, you've got an excellent point there. But let's go ahead. I guess if
I have one thing I thought of.
I'll keep this thing going as long as you want to.
Oh no, there was just one quick thing I thought of that I'm going to be kind of focusing on and doing streams on.
Great.
I've done some streams on paganism. I want to gather a couple of people. There's a short list of people I want to get together and talk about the metaphysical side of things, because yes, I'm a very linear person and I'm into science, but I'm also into stuff that science can't explain because science can't explain it. So the religious, the metaphysical, stuff like that. I have a little group of people I'm thinking about hitting up for maybe trying to start a weekly or a bi-weekly show where we talk about that stuff.
That'd be awesome.
So like religion and metaphysics and spirituality and stuff like that. And I also plan on having a stream where I get several different types of Christians together to discuss their religious philosophies and how they differ. One of them being my husband, that maybe I'm trying to, because he's got a voice of heaven. When he did radio back in his early years, a woman called in and said, I just called in to let you know that you have a voice that's somewhere between sex and chocolate when I wake up in the morning. So, I kind of want to get him on a stream.
Yeah, I've heard him in the background a couple times. Yeah, he's got he has a wonderfully resonant bass.
Deep, masculine voice. Yeah.
Yes, very much.
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
He could ASMR people for he could probably have 5 or 6 million people on a channel if he did some ASMR.
Absolutely.
So I kind of want to do that, and then I may actually get a group of atheists together, like some atheists, some anti-theists, and some agnostics, and kind of see if I can get them to discuss things, because I kind of want to look at the philosophies behind why people think the way they do and they live in their daily lives.
You know,
that is something I have been focusing
well,
on.
and what's funny is that a lot of people can't articulate, you know, and I think that's a smart thing to do, because it forces somebody to look at themselves and to, you know, and to say, well, why do I think what I'm thinking? So that's brilliant. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Listeners, good listeners, and YouTubers, all of ATHEMMA's information that's currently available is below the description. Links to her YouTube and to her Twitter. I recommend that you immediately, after you click like and subscribe on my channel, you go to her channel and do the same thing. Okay? And on that, I guess what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up for this week. And next Sunday, I'm keeping up with my boy girl kind of concept with this thing. We're going to be interviewing, unless something else comes up and some greater power intervenes. I'm going to be interviewing the Killing Joke himself. So.
Oh, really? Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I had fun with them the other night, and so I want to get a little deeper into it. It's really weird, because it's like I'm not having to work as hard getting people I want to do this with, because there's so many fascinating people, and you know, this is all about my love for people. So, and on that, why don't you wish everyone adieu, madame. And we'll zip out of here. All right?
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for putting up with me rambling.
And I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Thanks, and we'll see you this time next week for this show. But tomorrow, of course, it'll be Irate Monday with Chaos 120, and some people may show up, maybe a familiar face or two, besides some of the Chaos 120 folks. So keep an eye out. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you back this time next week on the Ice Cream Interviews. This is Irate Prostate. I'll owe you